There's a lot of options with online advertising. Google, again, is the biggest due to the number of people that visit a Google search page. And you have what are called Google Ads, which used to be called pay-per-click, whereby every time someone clicks on your advert, you pay an amount of money to Google, 50p, a pound, £2, £3, depending on how much competition there is, the location you're advertising in, the keywords you're advertising for, and so on. That amount of money varies. You've then got a thing called Google Local Service Ads, which you may have noticed started appearing, I think, about March last year. They've had them in America for about 3 years and introduced them to the UK last year. These are just aimed at local services, i.e. Plumber, electrician, window cleaner, roofer, those sorts of things. There isn't anything relevant to security at the moment. And they appear at the top of the page. Now, I'll show you a bit more detail on them in a minute. But you'll see a block of 3 ads across the top of the page right before you get to anything else. So they are very, very visible. And with those, you're paying every time someone contacts you. So Google Ads, you pay every time someone clicks on your advert. Local service ads, you pay when someone actually contacts you. They have a button there where they can actually phone you. You then got social media, where you can advertise on the likes of Facebook and LinkedIn. You can also promote posts. There's Twitter, and there's Instagram, TikTok, and everything else as well. And then YouTube. At the beginning of a YouTube video, you can also have your advert appearing. There's lots of different ways of doing it. I suspect most of you have in the past user directories, Checkatrade, Trusttrader, and so on, as well as the things like Yell, where you've probably got a free listing, but you can pay. And I don't know what their monthly charges are now, but you can pay a monthly fee to be like a promoted, a larger listing. And then there's also the paid leads option, where you're paying, say, rated people. Is it £25 a lead at the moment? I sort of lose track a little bit, but you're paying them every single time they give you a lead. Obviously, the downside being that they're selling it to 3 companies, so you're always having to quote as cheaply as possible to get the work, because you're always in competition with others. The good thing about something like, say, the Google Ads is you may be the only company they contact. If they click on your advert, they like what they see, and then they phone you and you respond quickly, they may not look at anybody else. Whereas a paid lead from, say, Rated People, it's going to go to 3 other companies. They're going to get 3 phone calls, and then there is, competition. Yes, you've got to present your business well, but it probably does come down to who's the cheapest, and that's the company they're going to go for. These, I think, are the main online advertising options. Obviously, things change over time. I mean, when I was a kid, it was Yellow Pages. I remember every year we get a new Yellow Pages, a great big thick directory, and my father would impress me by tearing it in half. Yellow Pages stopped, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, and by the time it stopped, it was a tiny little thing, because no one was really advertising in it. Everyone was advertising online. For me, Google Ads works extremely well. Jury's out a bit on local service ads. Social media sort of works depending on how you do it. Directories do work well for some companies, but you have to, I suppose, play the game. So, for example, Checkatrade, you need to be at the top of the listings, but to achieve that, you need to be getting regular reviews on Checkatrade, keep on getting more and more reviews, because we noticed that the companies that don't have many recent reviews will drop down a bit. And even though someone may only have 10 reviews and you've got 90, if those 10 are in the last month, they'll start appearing above you. So there is a bit of a game to be played there. Yell, Thompson Local, I mean, they're still going after all these years. I'm not quite sure, why you'd pay to advertise on Yell, because chances are people aren't going to go to yell.com and look for a business. They're going to just go to a search engine and type it in there, or they're going to go to a Checkatrade, or they're going to go to an ECA or an EIC or something like that and find an actual supplier that route. For the purpose of today, I'm trying to give a bit of an overview. So I'm just going to focus on the Google ads and the Google local services ads, mainly because probably most of you know about directories already and have probably used some of these in the past, maybe when your businesses were smaller and you were growing them. Social media is a tricky and complicated thing to do well. So I'm not going to try and go into that at the moment. However, I am planning a webinar later in the year on social media that will go into much more detail about all the different social media channels, how to make best use of them. And within that, we'll look at advertising as well. So let's have a look at these first two here. So here's a typical search page for electrician Oxford. Excuse me. At the top, we've got Google local service ads, which are these three here. And then below the regular ads, the pay-per-click ads. Now, if you click on one of these, no money is charged to this company and it opens in a slightly bigger box. If you then click and phone them, that's when VHL Oxford will be actually charged for doing it. I'll show you in a moment about what it costs and so on. One or two things to note here. The reviews are very visible. So you look at this. So this is Electrician Oxford, and it's come up with one company in London, one company in Southeast London, so one company in Northwest London, which is not too far from Oxford, I guess, one company in Southeast London, and one company in Milton Keynes. The results aren't great. I said my sort of opinion on local service ads is a little bit, I'm sort of reserving it. I'm not convinced how good they are. They've sort of worked in America in places and not worked very well in other places. But this, they're called local service ads. And if it's produced three companies that aren't particularly near to Oxford, it's not quite working. Probably because Oxford companies aren't using these. You can click on this button here and see more electricians. And then you'll get a list of them and decide what you want, which one you're interested in. But it is quite, it's visible. It's right at the top of the page, and you see the reviews. I'll come on in a moment to how I think they should be used if you want to try them. Below that, we have the regular Google ads. So this company here, Blandford's, have almost certainly got a campaign running whereby if someone searches for the word electrician in the Oxford area, then their advert should show. Or maybe they've got electrician Oxford. If someone searches for exactly that, then their advert will show. The same with the companies below. There's quite a skill to A, writing the text for this, and B, choosing what keywords you should appear for, what search words you should appear for, and what ones you shouldn't appear for, which I'm going to cover in a couple of minutes. But let's just look in more detail at the local service ads first, just because they're at the top of the page. So, first impressions with these always is, yes, I mentioned the locations, but you look at this one here, they've got loads and loads of reviews. They're not very good. And I'm thinking myself personally, I'd probably skip past someone like that, because you do worry, well, they've only got 3.7 out of 5. There must be a problem. This next one, well, it's 5-star, but it's only one review. This one here is 5-star, but 4 reviews. This one sort of looks the best at first impression. But then you have this thing called Google Guaranteed, which looks really good because it's a green tick. Basically, it's Google will look at a company in more detail, check out their insurance and so on, and then they will make them a Google Guaranteed company. And as a consumer, if you use one of these companies and things go wrong, you can claim, I think it's £1,500 in compensation. The wording is quite interesting in Google in that it's sort of at Google's discretion and so on, and it just reads as though it may be tricky to actually claim it. I can't say that for sure. It's just having read through it, but from a sort of consumer's point of view, it looks good. Google Guaranteed. Well, we all know who Google are, and they're guaranteeing. You sort of assume they're guaranteeing this company, so it gives a good impression. So looking at these three here and just sort of taking a personal view. Personally, I discount that one because they've got, the review, even though they've got loads of reviews, they're not very good. I'd be thinking of one of these two. I'd be nervous this one's only got one review. He may have started trading last week. And this one here hasn't got Google Guaranteed. To be honest, I'd probably just skip past and go to the adverts below. In terms of how the local service ads work, first of all, you choose a service. So electrician, roofer, plumber, window cleaner, Well, we've got carpet cleaner, pest control, all those sorts of things. So as I mentioned before, nothing for security at the moment. So electrician would be, the only way of using them. You then set a monthly budget based on how many inquiries you want. And for electricians, currently the cost is between about 14 and 21 pounds. It varies depending on the competition. So if there's a lot of competition in your area, it's more expensive. If there isn't, it's cheaper. But the range currently is between about 14 and 21 pounds per inquiry. The Google Guarantee scheme I mentioned, you just have to provide them with information about your business and your insurance cover and so on. And then the last thing is the actual ranking. So who appears first is based on location, reviews, opening hours. So for example, if I'm searching in the middle of the night, it's going to try and show me companies that are open rather than companies that are closed. The ranking is important because clearly these three here get all the eyeballs. Yes, someone could click on more electricians in Oxford and they will see others, but it's really these three here that are going to get the views and the inquiries. So it is important to appear in the top three spaces, and to achieve that, everyone is paying the same amount of money. Therefore, they're looking at your location relevant to where someone's searching and how many reviews you've got, assuming that everyone's open, how many reviews you've got. So having Google reviews does have an impact on local service ads. As I said before, for me, the jury's out on them as to whether they are a worthwhile way of spending money, because you're paying between 14 and 21 pounds each time someone contacts you, even though you have no idea what they're after, whether it's even relevant. So they've searched for electrician. It could be a car electrician. It could be my light switch isn't working. It could be a big job, but you've got no way of knowing, and you're paying every single time a call comes in, which makes me a little bit nervous because it's the word electrician is too general a term, really. You'd rather have something a bit more specific than that. So let's look at the actual Google ads themselves. So these are the pay-per-click ones, whereby anyone can set up an account with Google and advertise. So their advert will appear every time someone searches for CCTV Birmingham. Their advert will appear at the top of Google, and then at the bottom of the page, and the next page will be at the top and the bottom as well. So it'll appear in multiple places. This is how Google makes their money. Every time someone clicks on one of these adverts, they'll earn £1, £2, £3, whatever it may be. So looking at this from Google's perspective, they want adverts that people will click on. What they don't want are bad adverts that people will just go straight past because they earn no money. They want at the top of the page the very, very best adverts that people are most likely to click on, and then they'll earn more and more money. A few basics on it. So first of all, yes, you pay every time someone clicks on your advert. You can target keywords and locations. For example, let's say car charger installation, EV charger installation. That can be your keyword, and you can have your advert displayed to anyone within, say, 20 miles of your office. Oh, there we go. You can. We suggest you also use what we call long tail keywords. So don't use the word electrician on its own because it's too general, but do use electrician in Basildon. Use EV charger installer. Have a couple more words there, because that by doing that, you'll get rid of the clicks that aren't relevant. For example, let's say we just had EV charger or car charger. That could be anything. That could be someone researching about electric cars. It could be someone looking about, how do they work, just want to read about it. The moment we put the word installer in, suddenly we get a person with a real requirement that actually wants to buy one, that wants to have one installed for them. Also include negative keywords. So for example, let's say we've got the advert electrician, but we don't want someone looking for something to do with auto related electrician. So they've got a problem with the fuse box in their car. Most of you probably aren't interested in that kind of work. So we put a negative keyword in, which is car or auto, and therefore, if they then search for car electrician, your advert won't show up. It'll only show up for sort of, you know, more regular electrician type searches. With Google Ads, you can set daily and monthly budgets. So you're paying every time someone clicks, but you could cap that. You could say, okay, we'll pay a maximum of £20 a day. And each month we'll pay a maximum of £400. So each day, when you get to your £20 spend, the advert stops displaying. So there's no danger of you end up spending, you know, a fortune every day because it goes out of control. You can set a limit, and you can set a monthly limit so you know exactly how much you're going to spend. You can also choose the days and the times for the adverts to run. So let's say you don't want them to run at the weekends or at nighttime, just during office hours. Let's say you're looking for business-to-business inquiries, run them during office hours, and then turn them off at 5 o'clock. Now, those are the basics. The next thing is sort of how you optimize and how you make them really effective. I've got an example here I'll use. So the first thing is you can set a maximum bid per click. And the way Google Ads work is it's not £2 to be the first in the list, £1.75 to be second, £1.50 to be third, and so on. It's an auction. So Google is going to rank the best one top and the second best, you know, next one down, and so on, based on who will pay the most. But there are other factors involved as well. So you can set a limit, because let's say you left it unlimited and someone was prepared to pay £10, you could end up paying £10 and a penny just to appear at the top of the rankings. So you set yourself a limit per click of maybe £2 a click. That may mean you're not number one on the adverts, but you might be 2 or 3, which is fine because they're just as visible. When Google works out how much you are going to pay for your clicks, they're using a thing called a quality score, which is really 3 factors. One is, and sorry, just to be clear on that. So the quality score is the better your quality score, the cheaper the adverts are going to be for you. So if you've got a very low quality score, the adverts will be expensive every time. If you've got a high quality score, the adverts are going to be cheap. So 3 factors go into quality score. First of all, Google's expected click-through rate for your advert. So they think, let's say this one up here, 24/7 emergency electricians. Let's say this company is advertising the keywords 24/7 emergency electrician. Chances are someone looking at this is going to click through. So in Google's eyes, that's going to have a high expected click-through rate because it matches whatever the keyword is in the title here. Second thing is the sort of relevance of the kind of the whole advert to what someone's searching for. So again, you know, we've got the keyword electricians here. We're mentioning electricians down here, domestic, commercial, and so on. Reasonable. If they mentioned electrician maybe a couple of times, and this would appear a bit higher up, you know, a bit more relevant for an electrician search. The third factor in the quality score is the actual landing page. So where someone goes from the advert, the page that they land on, how relevant that page is to the advert. Coming back to the earlier point I mentioned, that Google wants people to keep coming back to Google because whenever they click on one of the search results, it gives them a really good page. It takes them to a really useful page. So therefore, we keep on using Google because it gives us good results. So, you know, it's a cycle. We keep on coming back again and again. Exactly the same with adverts. They want to be certain that if someone clicks on an advert, goes to a page, it answers whatever requirement they have. So it needs to be a very good landing page. It needs to sort of sum up whatever's in the advert, whatever was searched for, and you know, then they don't come back again and search for something else, that they're happy that they found what they needed. So those 3 factors go into improving quality score, which in turn reduces the actual cost you pay. Another thing is, we're talking about Google here. Now we're talking about people, and the actual words here need to be well written so that someone is encouraged to click on them. Now, this is not one we've done. I've used examples of ones we haven't done, which I thought was a better way to do it. So, you know, looking at this one here, 24/7 emergency electricians at your door in an hour. Well, me as a consumer, the lights have gone out, there's a problem, the fuse box is making a funny smell or whatever it may be. I'm reading this first line here thinking, yeah, that's what I need. I want someone that's going to come around straight away and look at it, not to worry. NIC registered electricians, well, that's a good point. Can solve any domestic commercial problem. This is a bit strange. Subscribe to newsletter. I think that might be an error in their copywriting. Get a free quote. Good. Check out our prices. Categories: domestic, commercial. There's one or two odd things in here. So it's as though this has been put in by mistake. I think categories, domestic, commercial is probably in by mistake. But the first half of the words look pretty good. Me as a person in a tough fix is probably going to click on this advert because it's saying what I want it to say. It's saying that they can come and help me quickly. When you have a campaign running, though, what you should be doing always is continually refining this copy and the campaigns. So you don't write one advert and then that's it, leave it and forget about it. You create one, you create two, you create three, you try them, you see what works best. And then you take the best one and then you refine that. And over time, they continually improve. And that's what we're really trying to do with Google Ads, because they are expensive if done wrong. If you keep on getting click after click after click and no one's contacting you, you're going to waste a huge amount of money. You need to be getting a small number of clicks that are, you need to be getting a small number, like 5 clicks turning into 1 inquiry, or 10 clicks turning into 1 inquiry, not 100 clicks turning into 1 inquiry. It needs to be continually refined and improved to achieve that. We also always, on campaigns we run, we track phone calls and forms, because there's no use running a campaign and then having no idea if it's working or not. We put a tracked telephone number on the advert. So let's assume this is a tracked number here. What that means is every time someone phones from the advert, we know it's happened. So we can measure, okay, in the last month, we've had 27 phone calls, 52 contact forms. We know what's going on. And then we can look back and say, all right, we've generated this number of inquiries. Of those, this number are good inquiries, and it's cost X number of pounds. So we can work out how much each good inquiry is actually really costing, and know whether the campaign is working, not working, needs changing, etc. A quick point on the landing page, so the page that people are taken to from the advert, is that as well as helping the quality score, as well as reducing what you actually pay for adverts, it will increase the number of people that contact you by 30% if it's really good. Now, we very, very rarely will have an advert go to a website because there are too many distractions. It's too easy to go and start on one page and look at another page and look at another page and then forget why you're there and the phone rings and you've gone off and done something else. We will almost always take an advert to a landing page, which is a single page focused on the advert, just about what's in the advert, with one goal, which is to generate an inquiry. By doing that, we find conversions are at least 30% higher than if we do anything else. So that's a key thing. And let me just show you an example of that. Here we go. So this company here, we're currently running some advertising for them on EV chargers. So if someone clicks on one of their adverts, they're going to come to this landing page here, and it is a single page with information about that service. Lower down, there's some information about their company, there's some reviews and examples of what they've done in the past, but it's completely focused on generating an inquiry. So, here's a quick message. We've obviously still got the grant running for another couple of months. We want them to either fill in this form, and it's a simple form, name, email, phone, or we want them to make a call. And nothing more than that. We don't want them looking at a contact page or a home page or a page about commercial, electrical, or whatever it may be. We just want them to look at this and then make contact. And if you were to scroll down this page, you'd see there's examples of the different types of charges they've got. There's some reviews. There's a lot more information to be sure that it puts someone's mind at rest before contacting. And as you go down the page, it says again and again, get a quote, get a free quote, call us. Keeps on asking them to do that, because that's all we're trying to achieve. this page at the moment, out of every 6.5 clicks on the advert, one results in an inquiry. Not necessarily a good inquiry, but one either fills in the form or makes a phone call. So about 6.5 clicks results in one inquiry for this landing page at the moment, which from my perspective means it's working really well. It's doing what it should do. Of those inquiries, about 2/3 fill in the contact form, about 1/3 make a phone call. So I do see too many advert landing pages that don't have a form on them, or the phone number's a bit hidden away. It's key. You think 2/3 are going to fill that in, 1/3 are going to call. These have got to be right at the top of the page, very, very easily accessible.